Raider Nation, the 2024 schedule is officially released, and in this video, we're going to be going game by game and giving you our breakdowns and predictions for each and every matchup of the season. So, starting off hot, we're in SoFi Stadium, a place that we've had our house of horrors there for the past 3, 4 seasons, and we're going to be starting off with the San Diego Chargers. And this is the year we finally get over our SoFi Stadium hump. And I think, I made a video about this earlier that, our roster's better than the Chargers, our coach is better than the Chargers coach. And I think this is the year we do it.
Yeah, so going out here and getting a win against Harbaugh coming in, and they got a bunch of kids playing receiver, so no one knows who Justin Herbert's going to throw to. I feel pretty confident as well. Our defense has really improved from last year, and we know what AOC gives us, and we should have beat the Chargers last year on that last drive of the game on 4th and 1. I think Aiden O'Connell ended up throwing a pick when they should have just ran to Josh Jacobs. They just paid homage to Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson in that Super Bowl. But moving on here to week 2, another tough game. The NFL likes to with us and sends us to the Baltimore Ravens for week 2. And historically, the Ravens, starting off the year, have always started off, kind of strong. I think we played them a few years ago in the opening game. I think that was 2021, and we beat them in week 1, actually. We beat Lamar in Vegas in week 1. So now we get them in week 2. We played Pittsburgh in week 2 a couple years ago, and we saw Pittsburgh was a little shaky, but Baltimore is a whole different animal, I think, from Pittsburgh. And this is going to be a tough game here. Like last year, they sent us to Buffalo in week 2. This is another really difficult road trip early on in the season, and I don't think we get it done here. I think we're going to give us the loss here, and we're going to be at 1-1. As much as we want to say we're going to win every game, it just doesn't seem possible with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew at quarterback. So we'll be going 1-1 in these first 2 games.
Yes, definitely agreed. As good as our defense is, we're going to be in some of these games, we're going to have a quarterback disadvantage. And I think this is going to really show in this Ravens game, kind of like the Bills game last year. You have a decent roster, but you just can't get over the hump in those big games. And so I think 1-1 is pretty doable in these first 2 games. But moving on to the Carolina game, week 3, that's going to be at home. I think you have to win this game. I think early in the season we avoid the sort of trap game mentality. Our guys are still going to be locked in to try to get this win. And I think the Panthers, they were the worst team in the league by far last year. Bryce Young didn't show a lot in his rookie year. And I think we have some tape on him now. It's not like he's going to go and become this whole new quarterback. So our defense is going to be able to get after Bryce Young. And I think, their Carolina Panthers defense isn't anything great either. So Aiden O'Connell's going to have time in the pocket to sort of stand and deliver to our, receivers. Brock Bowers going to have a big game. So I think this is going to be potential for a blowout, you could say.
Yeah, now running through these next 2 right here, we got Cleveland at home, which is going to be another tough game. And Cleveland is a good team. If you look at them all around, Kevin Stefanski's really got those guys going. And Deshaun Watson is playing at a decent level, not quite at his Houston level yet again, but he's playing at a decent level. And they're really putting it together. And I think this year, they're gonna start out hot. I don't think they're gonna start slow again and then kind of pick up at the end. I think they're gonna start out fast and they're gonna start out hot, and they're going to come into Vegas and really try to punch us in the mouth. Especially Myles Garrett on that defensive line is going to be hunting for Aiden O'Connell, who's seemingly going to be the starter this year. So we didn't feel really confident about this one, especially coming off a easier Carolina game. So we'll give it to Cleveland in this one. We always find a way. And then moving on to the next one, we got at Denver, team we've been, we're 10-0 in the last 10 games against Denver. They've not beaten us since December 26, 2019. And that's not going anywhere anytime soon. They took Bo Nix with the 12th overall pick in the first round, which is an extreme reach. And we've gone over that before. So we'll give us the win over here and we'll split those next 2 games.
Yeah, so I think at the 5th game of the season, if we're 3-2, I think that's a success. That's been sort of a checkpoint for us the last few years. If we're 3-2, that looks like we're going to be having a good season. So moving on to, the next game, week 6, it's going to be Pittsburgh Steelers at home, which we thought was going to be a primetime game. It's going to be a 125 game CBS, but I think we're going to beat Pittsburgh this year. We've lost to them in pretty close games the last 2 years, but I do think, we were the better team both those years. And it's just the coaching that held us back. They have Mike Tomlin, we had Josh McDaniels, and that really showed. That discrepancy really showed itself in our losses to Pittsburgh. But now that we have a guy like Antonio Pierce, I think our guy's going to be playing hard for him. We're going to be focused. Aiden O'Connell's going to be a lot better than he was, obviously last year. And, Jimmy Garoppolo was absolutely terrible in that Pittsburgh game in week 3 last year on Sunday night. And so we're gonna be better at quarterback in this matchup. They have Russell Wilson. I'm not worried about Russell. We beat him 4 times in a row. And I think that continues against Pittsburgh. So I think we're gonna be going 4-2 in the first 6 games.
Yeah, then running through these next two right here, we got at the LA Rams. So we come back to LA for the second time in 7 weeks. And this is another game that I will try to get Jahan out to, but I think I'll be flying solo at this one because that first one is going to be a shaky, like we said, W. But you never know, with the Raiders playing in SoFi Stadium. And the last time we played these teams, Baker Mayfield was signed 24 hours before and had to learn a playbook in one night and actually beat us because of stupid Jerry Tillery's dumbass punching the ball out of his hands on 4th and 15 at the own 2 yard line. So Raiders stupidity cost us that time. We played them hard last time, but now Matthew Stafford will be back. Um, seemingly from what we think, Matthew Stafford will be healthy for this game. 7 weeks into the season, no one really knows what could happen. Um, but the Rams, they're definitely a hard playing team. But, Aaron Donald just retired, and that's really a crushing blow to them. They're still an overall good team. I'm going to go ahead and give us the win here against the LA Rams. I think I just realized that Aaron Donald retired, and that's one of their biggest pieces on defense. And it's not like they have Jalen Ramsey running around the secondary anymore. So chalk up the win for us right here. And then moving on, this is a quick one. We'll get out of the way. We're not going to beat Kansas City at home. They've won the Super Bowl again. They're defending champs. We always play them hard one game a year. And this last year against them, I was there and we went up 14-0. And as soon as Daniel Carlson missed that 42-yard field goal to go up 17-0, it was over. Chiefs just stormed back and scored 28 unanswered, and that was the game. So chalk up the L right here. We'll split those two games.
Yeah, then moving on to the Bengals, this is our last game before the bye. you know, we're going to lose this game. It's on the road, 10 a.m. That recipe doesn't add up well for us historically. And I think playing against Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor, we just don't have the ammo. We don't have the firepower on offense to go and compete with a high-powered offense like the Bengals. So, we can't win all these games. And the Bengals are a pretty good team. They were just in the Super Bowl a few years ago. So I don't think we're going to be beating the Bengals. So that puts us at, I believe, we're at 5-4, I believe, through 9 games. So we're moving into the bye. Then moving on to the Miami game after the bye. This is a game I think we're going to win. Miami, we played them really tough last year with Aiden O'Connell, with Bo Hardigree as our offensive coordinator. We almost won that game. Our defense pretty much shut down Tua for the majority of that game. So our defense with an improved defense and also taking away their best player on defense in Christian Wilkins. He's now on our team. So that's a big addition for us and a big subtraction for them. And I think, I don't think Tua is going to be that much better. I think he's honestly, I think he's going to regress this season. I think we're going to beat Miami. I think we're a better football team.
All right, 6-4, playing Denver again at home. Bo Nix is not it. Denver is not it. We've had Denver's number in the last, 4 or so years. Um, and that continues. We don't chalk up L's against the Denver Broncos, and that's a fact. And Sean Payton, I don't think he's gonna figure it out by this point in the season. I think Denver's gonna have a tough year and struggle. Everyone's gonna, say, or all the Broncos fans at least are gonna say, no, well, we have Pat Surtain. But let's face it, he's not there yet. He's not there yet. Chalk up a win for the Raiders right here.
Yeah, then Black Friday game coming up at Kansas City. We were talking about this before. We're going to probably play them tough. In Kansas City, we traditionally have given the Chiefs a big fight, but I don't think it's going to happen. When you look at last year, it was a great win, but putting up 2 defensive touchdowns in 7 seconds, that's not a sustainable formula to go and win games against Kansas City. That's not going to happen again. And, we haven't been able to score 20 points against them in a few years. So the biggest question is, can we just put up 20 points on offense at least? So I don't think Kansas City, I think we're going to put up a fight here with our defense, but it's not going to happen. But so that puts us at, I believe, we're at 7-5.
7-5, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So then next week, I'll let you, dive into this one, but we got at Tampa Bay, and we've notoriously played really well in Tampa Bay over the years. John Gruden's last game as the Bucs head coach, Jamarcus Russell went in week 17 and we beat them. And then 2016, the whole Seth Roberts legacy game, which was, a beautiful sight to see. And yeah, we just historically play Tampa Bay really well.
Yeah, I think Tampa, I think they're a little overrated since last season. They made a pretty lucky playoff run. They were 9-8, so not that much off from us. And, they paid Baker Mayfield a lot of money, $100 million for a guy who I don't think he proved that much last season, considering, he wasn't that great. He barely squeaked into the playoffs. And, they lost their offensive coordinator, Dave Canales. So Todd Bowles, I don't think he's a great coach. So I think we're going to be beating Tampa Bay in Tampa. So that puts us at 8-5, which is a pretty good record at this point in the season. Then moving on to the Monday Night Football game, week 15 against the Falcons. I think it's tough. I think we're going to be favored in this game. I think we're a better team than Atlanta, but I don't think we're going to sweep the NFC South, because we have us beating Carolina, Tampa, and the Saints, who we're going to get into later. So I'm actually going to give us a loss to the Falcons at home, because just the law of averages, you're not going to go and sweep all these teams. I think there's going to be some games as Raider fans that we should win, but we don't win. And this could be one of those games. Playing Kirk Cousins, he's a good quarterback. They have a lot of offensive weapons. So I'm actually going to give us a loss here and move us to 8-6 going into the Jacksonville game.
Well, yeah, 8-6 getting into these next two games, and the Jags are a really bipolar football team. Last year they were really disappointing and they lost all the close games, but the year before that they won all the close games and had that home playoff game against the Chargers where they came back. I believe it was a 30-point deficit or something like that. They came back and beat the Chargers. I remember watching that game. So it just depends what kind of Trevor Lawrence you get and what kind of Doug Peterson is calling the plays. If it's 2017 Eagles Doug Peterson, or if it's last year's Doug Peterson who was all over the place. So I think right here will also give us the win. I think we'll chalk up a W, and Raiders will get to 9-6, I believe, right here, with the last two games. And yeah, I think we're in a great position here going into Derek Carr revenge game in New Orleans, week 17. I wish this was a primetime game. Obviously, it's subject to change. Those late weeks in the season, it could be flexed. But you don't really see AFC NFC matchups getting flexed. It's mostly AFC or NFC if it has playoff implications. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen by that point? And we finally get to see Derek Carr, in the black and gold rather than the silver and black. And I think we play them tough. And I think Derek Carr makes a lot of mistakes. He's going to be in his own head about this game, playing the Raiders. And his kids are still Raider fans, like he said many times. So I'm going to go ahead and give us the win right here and pull it up to 10-6.
Yeah, so that moves us into the Charger game week 18. I think it's a little deja vu of a few years back where it was a win and get in scenario. And I think it's going to be the same way this year, because when you look at the AFC collectively, there's a lot of good wild card teams. The Bengals are going to be in the mix. The Jets are going to be in the mix. I think, look at even the Steelers maybe. So there's a lot of competition in the AFC. And I think, 10 wins might not get you in. You want to get ideally 11 wins to guarantee yourself that wild card spot. And, when you look at the Chargers, I'm going to give us the win here just because it's at home. It's going to be a loud environment, a pretty crazy environment. And I think, we gave us the win in LA, but I think we can actually sweep the Chargers this year. And every year traditionally in the past, we've split with them. But I do think this year the discrepancy between our talent and their talent is a lot higher than in years past. And Harbaugh, like I mentioned, has been a little bit overrated by the national media. And, I think we get this win. Our guys are going to be motivated to play. It's a win and get in scenario. We've done it in the past. Literally in 2021, we were in this exact scenario and got it done against the Chargers. So this puts us at 11-6. I will say this is more of an optimistic projection of the season. This is if everything goes right, if Aiden O'Connell is as advertised. So 11-6, I think, is the ceiling for us. You know, maybe we lose some of these games. Every year it seems like we go through the schedule and there's some games that we should have won that we just don't win. So if everything goes to plan, I think 11 wins, we could see that happening this
And
season.
this is all for you Aiden O'Connell believers. This 11-6 is contingent upon Aiden O'Connell balling out and improving. Like all of you guys have criticized us over the past 3 to 4 months, telling us that AOC is gonna break out and AOC is gonna be this, AOC is gonna be amazing, AOC is gonna turn into Tom Brady. So right now, AOC put on that number 12 jersey for this season. He's gonna be wearing number 12 every week. So if AOC turns into that Tom Brady figure like we've all been wanting to, Statue of Liberty, then this is for you guys. This 11-6 is for you guys, and trust me, no one wants it more than us. No one wants 11-6 more than us. I mean, we have been depressed Raider fans for the past 20, almost 20 years now, and we need something good to happen. And we'll bank on it and say that okay, you guys believe in Aiden O'Connell and we'll see. Okay, we'll say Aiden O'Connell is going to take us to 11-6. This is for you guys.
Yeah. So Raider Nation, there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming out. 53-man roster, training camp, OTAs. This channel is gonna have you covered. Continue liking, subscribing, most importantly, sharing with your friends, and drop a comment down below. But yeah, until then, Silver and Black Tech signing off. Thank you guys. Peace.